Alright, it is day 3 of work, day 2 of videos. I wasn't able to make a video yesterday. Well, I probably could have, but I just hadn't quite thought about it in time. It's 61 degrees outside. It's Wednesday, so Wednesday before Thanksgiving. Yes, it's the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving. Today we started, I'll talk about yesterday. Yesterday we dug, and we dug, and we dug, and we dug, and we dug. Now, they had already put in a spot for a pole on this underground line, and it was like maybe 6 pieces of PVC. If I took a guess, I'd say like a 2-inch, a couple 1.5 inches, a couple 1/2 inches. And so basically they just had in this little spot by this school 6 pieces of PVC coming up out of the ground here and 6 pieces coming up here. And so what they needed to do was they needed to put a box there at a junction. And so I'm not really sure what they called it, but like a quasi-box, which I guess means like a fake box. I think that's what they called it. But anyways, it's a big green container looking box, but it doesn't have a bottom, and it has a top that bolts on. And so we had to dig out like 44 inches long, 26 inches wide, and 22 inches down. It was a lot of digging. We ended up moving a lot of dirt, so that definitely put us to work. After the quasi-box, which I actually enjoyed just sitting there moving, we had to kind of backfill some dirt. After we were done moving, after we were done digging, we had to move a bunch of gravel because we had to fill the bottom with gravel so that way it doesn't just get muddy and sink the box. So we took 2 loads of gravel, and I've never used a wheelbarrow before. I'd never used a wheelbarrow before, so it wrecked me. Like, I was not prepared to use a wheelbarrow. And then the rest of the day, we filled in that trench that had previously flooded. So I think that was pretty much our day. It was just digging and then trenching. We really just did dirt work. We didn't do anything wire related at all. As far as tool of the day from yesterday goes, I'm gonna go with my water bottle. So my water bottle, I wasn't looking when I did that. I looked at the road the whole time. My wife bought this for me. It's a big son of a gun, and that's still ice from yesterday that I've refilled the water on a couple of times. So it's a quality piece of machinery for sure. I'm trying to think of where I need to go here because we're leaving from a different spot. Anyway, so yesterday was my water bottle. I drank a lot of water because I was doing a lot of activity. Today we had a whole different kind of day. So there are 4 buildings in this complex that we're working on for a school, and I'm not going to go into any of the details about the school other than to say that it is an elementary school, and it's like 10 rooms in the building. And so we were doing stuff for the lighting plan. We can't work on the ceiling, or we can't work on the roof of this building yet because they don't have a lifeline put up there for us. We wouldn't have anything to tie off to, and it's a 12-foot drop. So per OSHA, we have to have a lifeline up there. So we're waiting on that, but we were able to do what we could from the inside today, which actually took us all day. So my foreman, who I'm actually on his crew, there's 3 foremans. Each one has a crew of 2 guys, except for my foreman, who has a crew of 3 guys. Where I live in Oklahoma, they just implemented the law that says that you can have 3 foremen, or 3 apprentices per foreman, or per journeyman, I guess. So my journeyman is the foreman for the whole site, and he basically broke out an architect scale, and he looked at the lighting plan, and in the lighting plan it discussed exactly where things were. So he got down to the feet and the inches to let us know where we needed to place things. So we basically laid out rulers, or laid out measuring tapes on the ground, and we made marks on the ceiling, got up on a 10-foot ladder, drilled a hole with with a hole saw, which I actually learned something about several things about a hole saw that I didn't know today. So we were using these little 7/8 inch hole saw, which is what you have to, you have to use that for a 1/2 inch piece of conduit, so that way it has enough room. So we used a 7/8 inch hole saw, and on the 7/8 inch hole saw, it has a drill bit in the middle, and then the piece that goes into the chuck has a kind of a screw on the outside, and the hole saw screws onto the screw. And my foreman taught me to drill the pilot hole first with your hole saw, or with the drill, and then put the hole saw on, and then begin to drill the full-size hole, which was really cool. I didn't know that. He also showed me to take it off first, because if you don't take it off, you can lock that hole saw on the key. I'm not really sure what to call it, because a hole saw, you know, it's circular, but it has a drill bit that goes right through it to keep it on track. And previously, I've always just turned that hole saw on high, or turned the drill on high and just flew through it. But apparently that was wrong too. I'm supposed to run it on low, or I'm supposed to run it on the drill option, and just run it as low as possible. So let's see. I ended up using the hole saw quite a bit today, and we really got rocking and rolling there for a while on where stuff needed to be. I got to ask a lot of questions about the plans and about what we were doing, which was really cool, because he didn't give me any guff. He just answered my questions and moved on, which is exactly what I wanted. I'm going to turn my air conditioner on, because it's 60, but the sun's coming down right on me, as you can see. So after we drilled all of our holes, well, not all of them, there was a lot of holes that we couldn't do. To figure out where those holes were too, he had a pretty ingenious way. We couldn't get on the roof, and normally we would make chalk lines on the roof. We couldn't make chalk lines on the ground because it was finished concrete, which I didn't understand, because chalk will just sweep up, you know. We couldn't make chalk lines. We could make chalk lines on the ground, but we couldn't make chalk lines on the roof. The problem is we couldn't get on the roof because there wasn't a lifeline. So we had to drill from the bottom up. So he had a laser level, and what we would do is we would measure on the ground and put that laser level above the measuring tape where it's supposed to be, and shoot a laser straight up in the air. We'd mark where that laser is, and then go back up there with the hole saw. Or we would not go up there with the hole saw. Sometimes we would, but not always. But sometimes we would just go up there with the self-tapping screw, and we would self-tap a screw up in there and tie a knot onto the screw. Self-tap a screw along the line in which the holes were supposed to be. So there's a line of 3 holes. Self-tap another screw, and then tie the string so we know the line on which to drill those holes. So that was really convenient. I'm sorry I'm yawning so much. That was really convenient to do, and it was really awesome to see the problem solving at work of, well, we have to do this today or we're not going to be able to do anything. So, oh hey, there's one of my foremen now driving to drop something off. Anyways, it was pretty ingenious to see. It was pretty ingenious to see him problem solve like that. And as a foreman, that's really what you got to do. Is, you know, you're working on your guys' time. You got to keep costs down. You can't just have them stand around doing nothing just because somebody was supposed to do something for you and they haven't done it yet. So, other than that, I really think that's it. My tool of the day. Let me grab my tool bag here. It's a big son of a gun. My tool of the day is actually not brand new, but it's brand new to me. Now, it's a Stanley Crescent wrench, and I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not, but it has markings for measurements, and so after you probably can't see it. After you use, or when you use it, you can set the adjustable end to a certain depth, and you'll know, I need to get an 8mm socket, or flip it to the other side, and I know I need to get a 3/8 inch socket to use this. Well, what's really cool about this is it's really thin. The tips are very thin, and so the tips fit perfectly into a 1/2 inch lock nut. And so I was working above my head, and so what I would do is I would loosen this up, and I would loosen it up, and I would stick it on my lock nut, and I would tighten it down a little bit, and I would just twist like this instead of having to get a hammer and a screwdriver and like chisel that thing into place. I was able to just twist my wrist, and that did it. I'm really tired today. Well, I think really that's my day. Oh, one of the foremen who I just met today, granted this is my 3rd day on the job, one of my foremen brought out his drills and says, "Be careful with those. Those are my babies. I just bought them." And I was like, "Oh yeah, no, I'll be careful." Well, at the very end of the day, I'm up on a ladder and I hear him say, "Ben, was it you that marked up my brand new drills with a Sharpie?" And I thought, oh no, I was using a Sharpie all day long. And I normally am pretty good at putting the tip back on the Sharpie, but not this time apparently. So I think that's really my only story for today. Hopefully hopefully he doesn't hate my guts for the rest of forever. I apologize profusely, and I talked about how we get Sharpie off of stuff when, you know, it accidentally gets on there because we have kids, so you kind of got to know that. But all right, I am going to hop off of here. Have a good day.